Hi, I'm Jansen Harris, and today I'm going to discuss a few topics in sports regarding boxing, the NBA playoffs, the NFL draft, and other topics in sports. First, I want to talk about the Manny Pacquiao fight. First of all, this was probably the best fight of the year you guys are going to see. Honestly, putting two pound for pound fighters, Manny still had a punch, and Bradley was one of the best fighters coming into the fight. And I was just shocked to see Bradley's approach on after the first 5 rounds. It was very close. I had Bradley up on my scorecard by one round. But it's like he was loading up on, he lost confidence. He was loading up on one punch, and he seemed to lose a lot of confidence in the fight. I understand he brings the power, he brings a lot of speed that could be overwhelming at times. But I just felt like he should have boxed his way like he did in previous fights. Against Marquez, he boxed the whole fight. It was one of the best fights of the year. He got the well-deserved split decision, and I felt like he should have stayed to that strategy. I felt like he gave up on the fight, and he was loading up on that right hand. Pacquiao was taking advantage of him constantly. Constantly the left hook, the left hook, the left hook, the left jab, and he was just wearing him out. He lost a lot of confidence in the later rounds. And really, if it was the old Pacquiao, in my opinion, 2-3 years ago, it would have been a knockout victory for him. But over the years, y'all seen the Marquez knockout. Oh, that's going to happen too. Fighting a Hall of Famer 4 times, I feel like it's bound to happen. But I also wanted to go over future fights, I think, for Manny Pacquiao, because he still looks sharp. He's still up to par with some of the top pound-for-pound boxers out there in the game right now. So I'm thinking Marquez 5, if he could get past this upcoming fight coming up. I mean, he lost to Bradley, but I still think he has it. And a 5, people want to see it. They'll sell pay-per-views. It'll do better than this fight just did, because I heard it was down from the first one. I mean, I guess people don't think Bradley's a great fighter. They don't pay attention to boxing that much. UFC is on the rise, so perhaps that's the reason for the downfall a little bit. But I feel Marquez Pacquiao fight, that would be appropriate. It would be exciting. People want to buy the fight, see it. Hopefully see that in September. But obviously the number one fight we want to see still, which we don't know what happened to it since 2010, the Floyd Mayweather-Manny Pacquiao fight. And honestly, I think it's a promotional thing. Both sides, the Showtime, HBO, top-ranked boxing, and it's just a mess when it comes to that. They need to come together, see the fights people want to see. People don't care about this inter-promotional back thing with the money and all of that. People want to see big-time fights. People want to see Floyd Mayweather, obviously, the pound-for-pound king. They want to see him against the best competition. And now, as I do think Floyd is the best fighter in the game right now, I am going to say that some of the people he's fighting, we don't want to see. We don't want to see the Guerrero fight. We didn't want to see that. Now the Sal Alvarez fight, we wanted to see that. It was great. It was a pretty good fight. One-sided, yes, but it sold. People wanted to see that type of fight, and that's the fight that we got. We got Floyd made $40 million off the fight. And Sal Alvarez, he was a big name, big Mexican name. And they got together. It was a good fight. I would have liked to. I brought the fight personally. I would have liked to see a knockout. But, Floyd, he's going to use his speed. He's one of the best, in my opinion, the best defensive fighter to ever step foot in the ring. If you watch the defense, you watch the footwork, you just see he's masterful at what he does in the ring. Now, the power punching with Floyd, that's not his thing. The power punching is not his thing. That's more of a Pacquiao thing. That's why I think if they get together, that will be one of the best fights. The styles make fights. And I'm telling you right now, Manny Pacquiao, Floyd Mayweather, please, I'm asking you personally, Jansen, asking you personally. Both of them, they get into the fight, this fight will be off the chain. People will love it. This fight will sell. I guarantee it'll sell. And if it was true of Floyd back in the day offering $40 million to Manny Pacquiao, take the drug test and all that, then he is a foolish decision not taking that, because that's a huge payday. That would have doubled what he made in the Bradley fight. Off rip, doubled what he made in the Bradley fight. So So like I said, Floyd Mayweather, Manny Pacquiao, I still want it. The fans still want it. I know 2, 3, 4 years later, we still want to see the fight. And that's what we want to see. So that's what I mean, I know it's a dream fight. Like, it might not happen. Most likely won't happen. But let's see Manny Pacquiao versus Floyd Mayweather. If we can't get that, how about Manny Pacquiao versus Marquez 5? I'll deal with it. I love it. I'll deal with that. And what's another fight I'd like to see? Tim Bradley, he's a good fighter. I'd like to see him against maybe... This fight wouldn't happen either. Tim Bradley against a Danny Garcia. Danny Garcia, 26-0. I think he's 26, maybe 27-0. Great fighter. You saw him on Floyd Mayweather's undercard. How about match him up with Tim Bradley? That fight will sell. How about that? Or how about see, Marcus Mondana, great power puncher against Tim Bradley. Tim Bradley trying to take chances on the knockout. How about him against Marcus Mondana? That would be a fight to see. Because honestly, the Marcus Mondana Floyd Mayweather, I don't see Marcus Mondana with the upset. You know, he's a great power puncher. Don't get me wrong. Him beating Floyd Mayweather's buddy, what's his name? What's his name? I can't even think of his name. I know what's his name? I can't even think of his name, but that was an upset win. That was a big time win right there for him. And I'd like to see him build off that. Maybe a fight with Danny Garcia. That would have been more appropriate. But I think against Floyd Mayweather, his speed, the hand speed is too much for him. The footwork is too much for him. I think every aspect of boxing he has over Marcus Mondana. Marcus Mondana has a little bit more power. He has the ability to knock somebody out. But I just don't think... I think Floyd Mayweather's be an easy fight for him. He matched up with people like this before. I think he kind of reminds me of a less quality version of Arturo Gatti. Not yet on his level. He's not an Arturo Gatti type fighter on his level and aspect, but I think they have a similar game. And I think Floyd Mayweather should get a knockout, but I think it's going to be an unanimous decision in that fight. So, but the state of boxing as a whole right now, they need to make fights that people actually want to see. They need to match up better potential fights. Both promotions on both sides need to get together, have a deal, because UFC is taking over. You know, more people want to see UFC. There's a high demand for it right now in this country. Now, I know it's big in Mexico and over the States, and it's still big in the United States. Floyd Mayweather, don't get me wrong. He is pulling in $40 million a fight. Don't get me wrong. He is one of the best pound-for-pound fighters of our generation, of any generation. But just one fighter is not going to make everyone tune in, stay into all of that. What I'm just trying to say is basically we need to broaden it out, more TV deals, more big-time fights. Stop putting every single fight that Sal Alvarez does on pay-per-view, because obviously the last fight we didn't want to see. The last fight, I guarantee probably didn't do good on numbers. I know he's a huge Mexican fighter, but in my opinion, he isn't built up enough for big-time pay-per-views. Like his next fight's coming up. You know, he's facing Laura, one of the best fighters in the game. But, you know, that's not a fight people want to see on pay-per-view, you know what I'm saying? It's, to me, it's a Showtime, maybe main event. Showtime main event, but I don't think he should be on pay-per-view. Now, let's say he fought a Danny Garcia. That's a fight people want to see. That's very interesting. Danny Garcia versus Sal Alvarez. You know, winner against Floyd Mayweather again. That's a fight, right, people want to see. That's a fight that'll sell, too. Danny Garcia is no joke. Now, one of my personal favorite boxers, Amir Khan, he annihilated Amir Khan. He just beat Amir Khan, who, in my opinion, I love Amir Khan, but he has no right to challenge Floyd Mayweather. No right. The Floyd Mayweather fight shouldn't be on his mind, because obviously coming off losses, Danny Garcia a couple years ago, he just took him apart. I couldn't believe it, to be honest with you. But that's a different day, different discussion. Now, just the state of boxing as a whole, I feel like they just need more big fights. They need to stop with this promotional outbreak, which is ridiculous. I feel like it's just ridiculous. Now, let me talk about the NBA playoffs coming up. Now Me personally, I'm a Knicks fan. We are not in it. It's very embarrassing. It was an awful year. Glad we fired Mike Woodson. Mike Woodson, don't get me wrong, you did a great job in Atlanta. He did an outstanding job in Atlanta. You know, I mean, I don't know how we got fired from Atlanta. They usually first round are done anyways. I felt like he was a pretty good coach for them. But for the Knicks job, it's been slipping. You know, no defense all year. You see Carmelo jacking up shots. J.R. Smith not the same player. Raymond Felton doesn't know if he wants to be in and out in jail. So that just didn't work out. Now, the Spurs are looking good like every year. Greg Popovich, congratulations, Coach of the Year, well-deserved. And I think they can make a run to the Western Conference Finals. I think it's going to be them against the Thunder. And I got the Thunder going to the finals. I'm going to let you know, I think Kevin Durant having an outstanding year. I think Russell Westbrook, he's going to be up to speed too with the knee. I really like Serge Ibaka. I like him on the boards. I feel like he could put in some numbers. The bench is looking better. And I just feel like, I know the Spurs are the hotter team right now coming into the playoffs, but I feel like the Thunder will themselves in. Kevin Durant will be clutch in the fourth quarter. I think he'd just be too much for the Spurs. And to be honest with you, I don't want to see the Spurs in the finals anymore. You know, don't get me wrong, Greg Popovich, Tim Duncan, they've done it for years. Manu Ginobili, Tony Parker, Diaw's playing well. Very fundamentally sound basketball team. Don't get me wrong, fundamentally sound basketball team. It's just, I feel like the Thunder will be more exciting to see them play. I know the West is very stacked with teams. The Clippers, Houston, Blazers are having an outstanding year. Damian Lillard and them boys, they are balling. Trust me, they are a great team to watch. But to be honest with you, I think the playoffs in the West is going to be great. That's why I have the Thunder going to the finals. I think they're going to get past them all. I know they lost to the Grizzlies last night, and it's 1-1, but I feel like they're going to win that series in six tops. I think Durant's going to turn it up, and that's what's going to happen. In the Eastern Conference, it was a pathetic year in my opinion. Very pathetic, very mediocre East. You know, you got the Hawks. Even though they beat the Pacers, very surprised about that. I know the Pacers been sliding down the stretch. Maybe they were too complacent in the spot they were in. Even though they, sadly enough, they were the first seed. I just think they're playing awful basketball. Even the Hawks really aren't that good, to be honest with you. What, 10, 11, 12 games under 500? Are you kidding me? And you're in the playoffs? The East is awful, to be honest. But I got the Pacers. They'll come back and beat them. But, you know, no surprise, I have the Pacers and the Heat in the Eastern Conference Finals. They're just going to slap through the competition. Toronto might give the Pacers a run. Maybe. Toronto's a pretty good up-and-coming team. Do not get me wrong. But, honestly, in the West, they're out in the first round. Maybe in the playoffs. Because you see how the Dallas and Grizzlies probably have just as... Matter of fact, they have just as good as a record as Toronto does. So, that would be a debate right there. But saying that, I do have... I have the Heat going back to the finals. I'm sorry. I'm going to tell you this right here off the rip. Paul George, I love the man. He's a pretty good basketball player. For a moment there, I thought he was a superstar. But ever since I saw that game, he scored 2 points. No. Inconsistent. I see 4 for 15 shooting nights like he did. Like he does consistently. He thinks he's Carmelo with that. I don't get it. Roy Hibbert. You should be better than you are. First of all, you should be one of the best centers in the league. There's no big men out here. Dwight Howard, Brook Lopez. There's not a lot of great quality centers. So I just don't understand why his numbers are so low. Maybe 10 points, 6 rebounds. You should be up there 18 points, 10 boards a game. I know you play with David West and other talent, but really there's no excuse in my book. So... I got the Heat, plus they have the best player in the game, LeBron James. I think he's going to the 4th straight finals. And as for the winner in the finals, I have the Thunder in 7. I feel like this time around they'll be more hungry. Kevin Durant, he's farther along in his career. And I just think this year is the year for them. I don't think Wade is healthy enough. The knee issue, it just bothers me. I don't think it's going to hold up in the finals. Now, I think he could be very productive. I think the bench is pretty good. Mario Chalmers, Norris Cole, they bring energy. Even Chris Anderson, you know, people downplay what he does, but he's a big part of the team. And I just feel like, though, the Thunder is going to be too much for them. I think even Reggie Jackson. Reggie Jackson, big time player off of the Thunder. I think he's going to come off the bench and bring a spark to them. Kendrick Perkins, they cut his minutes, but I'm telling you, in the playoffs, his defensive rebounding will be up there, and the minutes he's going to play will increase. They're going to need him for the size. Now, when they downsize, obviously it's a better scoring lineup for them, but with him in the lineup, it's a better defensive lineup. I think they're going to need his minutes. I think Kevin Durant's going to at least 30 a game. I know they're going to have LeBron on him. That's going to be a tough task for him, but I think he'll overcome. Russell Westbrook, he'll slash through Mario Chalmers. It's no discussion. He'll get to the rim. If Bosh plays defense, it might get to 7. And I'm a big fan of Chris Bosh. I think people don't respect him as much as they should. He was a big reason they won the championship last year. Now, I think his defensive presence, it'll be tough for the Thunder, but I feel like the Thunder will overcome. Too much Kevin Durant, I think he'll average 32 points a game. 32 points, 7 rebounds, 4 assists. Russell Westbrook will do his thing. I think Serge Ibaka will even bring a scoring spark to them. Reggie Jackson off the bench, I really like what he's doing. And they just look good to me. I have the Thunder, and I have Kevin Durant winning the MVP. Obviously, LeBron, he's having another great year. He honestly, top 5 player in my book. LeBron, top 5 player of all time. You know, people could say what they want to. He's not Jordan, he's not Magic. But look what he did. Look what he did with Cleveland. Just, if it wasn't for that year with Derrick Rose, I would have been 5 in a row. So but unfortunately, I have Kevin Durant winning it. I think it's well-deserved. You know, his scoring has been ridiculous. He just broke Jordan's record with consecutive 25-point games. I just think you have to put that in consideration for the MVP vote. So, Thunder, I got the Thunder winning the championship, Kevin Durant winning the MVP, and I just want to touch base on the NFL a little bit. You know, I'm a big Jets fan. I like to see us get a cornerback, which really doesn't make any sense to me how we got rid of Cromartie. First of all, I know Cromartie's in a down part of his career, but to say that, he's still productive. The cornerbacks in this league are worse. It's a passing league, obviously. So getting rid of him was not smart, and somebody else picked him up like that. And now we're in trouble. We have nobody. So back to the draft. Hopefully we don't draft another D. Milner. He wasn't productive at all his rookie year. It was really sad. I was appalled. I was very disappointed. I was even disappointed when we got rid of Revis. Revis was one of the best Jet players to ever play the game. I know he had a couple years. People downplayed the man-to-man coverage scheme that he played. He was one of the best man-to-man cover guys, to me, ever, after a couple years. Especially in this passing league right now, he's needed. And he went to the enemy, the Patriots. But to touch base on the NFL draft, I have Javanian Clowney going number 1. He's a freak of nature. You've seen his college career. Now, the numbers dipped a little bit his senior year. He had less sacks, less tackles. But to put in consideration, he was being doubled and triple teamed a lot. And people question his motor for the game. And he takes a couple plays off. Well, honestly, to me, if you're playing with you downplay the competition. When you're playing with less guys who are less talented, sometimes you're going to tend to downplay competition. And I just think that's the case with him. I feel that maybe he wasn't challenged enough. And I think in the NFL, it's going to translate to the NFL as in he'll work harder, he'll develop into a better player. Me, personally, I compare him to a young Julius Peppers. I think he could be that. He could be a Demario Williams. I see him, even DeMarcus Ware type pass rusher. I really am high on this guy. I think he should go number 1 pick. Now, to talk about guys like Johnny Manziel deserves all the credit he is given, in my opinion. Like, people saying what he does, it can't translate to the next level. Well, first of all, the NFL is changing. It's not just a pocket, throw the ball from the pocket game anymore. People are scrambling, they're running around. A lot of the things Mike Vick did, Cam Newton's doing. Russell Wilson even gets out of the pocket a couple of times. Aaron Rodgers, if you see he throws from the pocket, he could throw on the run. Quarterbacks are doing different things. They have different skill sets nowadays. It's not like it was in the early 90s, the late 90s, where quarterbacks stand in the pocket. You can't throw a pass like that, then you can't throw a strike from the pocket, then you're not useful in the NFL. It's different. Guys are running, they're using their legs. The game is changing. They're making plays out of nothing, plays that break down. They can make plays out of that. I feel like Johnny Manziel is like a Doug Flutie-like player. maybe a Brett Favre. They can make plays out of the pocket. I feel like he could run. He got the running ability like Mike Vick, Russell Wilson. Now he needs, not Russell Wilson, RG3. Now speaking on that, his flaws to me are he needs to slide more to stay healthy. But in longevity of the game, I think he can be a pretty good player. To me, a top 5 pick. Now, if you're looking for a quarterback, which a lot of teams are, Jacksonville, even the Texans need a quarterback. And they have J.J. Watt, so, that could be consideration right there. I think Van Clowney's a better player, better prospect. I feel like him going number 1 would be more appropriate. But to take Johnny Manziel 1, 2, 3, 4, I wouldn't mind it. I think it's very smart. Now, Teddy Bridgewater, he's a pretty good quarterback. NFL polish, throw from the pocket. Some say it's a safe pick, which there's no safe picks when it's coming to quarterbacks. It's hit or miss. It could set back your franchise. People like saying this is the safe. Mel Kiper likes expressing that, which I respect him. Respect the man's opinion. But he wants to say things like that. Now, who else do I like? The running backs, I don't have any running backs in the first round. And I know this sounds like I am. It's not the same league anymore. People use 2, 3 running backs. You could find a steal in the 6th round. You could just find other guys for that. Now, wide receiver, I'm big on Marquise Lee. I feel like he's good. And, yeah. Excuse me. Now, I want to touch base a little bit on the state of baseball. First of all, baseball was more popular back in the 90s, early 2000s. When people hitting home runs, people cared about the game. But to me, it's disturbing to see guy after guy, Sammy Sosa, Barry Bonds, A-Rod, all the scandals with steroids and all that. It just kills the game. People don't want to watch it anymore. Honestly, people get mad when they see, I have friends all the time, they get mad when they see baseball on TV. It's boring, turn it. They don't want to watch the highlights for that. Me personally, I respect baseball because I know the history of the game. I tune into ESPN, I watch all of it. Even hockey, even though hockey's not the most exciting sport in the world, I still watch it. I know about Crosby. I know about all that. The Penguins, the Rangers, I know. I follow that. I follow baseball, a little bit UFC, all of it. Boxing. But to say that baseball is great right now is a little bit of a stretch. Really, they're on a downfall. I feel like the pitching's good, but we need more power hitters. People are bored with the sport. They need to figure out a way to speed it up. And maybe it'll be more interesting for people to watch. Now, this is my first video. Please subscribe to my channel. I want to be a sports broadcaster in the making. And then yet again, I'm Jansen Harris. I hope y'all enjoyed my video speaking on sports. And I'll be making another one soon. Subscribe to me, Sports Talk with Jansen Harris. Y'all have a good night. Take care of each other and be safe.